we've been quite bold, and we're actually taking a year off completely.
Yeah.
And I know that might seem to others that's quite a bold statement considering my age as well. So the recommended treatment for us would be really IVF again. And that would be about me actually undergoing 3 continual egg collections, which means getting as many eggs as possible, due to, again, history telling us that I only got 5 the first time. I say only, but as we've talked about varying numbers, that is more on the lower end of numbers. They recommend doing 3, which means I would be on treatment for potentially that could take anywhere between 3 to 6 months, depending on where my cycles fall and what breaks were needed. Because what they would want is as many eggs as possible to be fertilized, as Nick's not a chromosome carrier and his sperms come back, and his genetics have come back fine, because then they would create as many embryos as they could, because then they would go for this specific embryo genetic testing. What that means, if they found any genetic abnormalities, whether it relates to my chromosome disorder or not, those eggs legally in the UK are not allowed to be transferred back into you.
Yeah.
So you could be risking 3 to 15 to 16 to 20 embryos, but you may or may not get any chance of actually having an embryo transfer and a chance of a pregnancy from that. So that's risky. The other thing they've heavily talked about, and I did take up the genetic counselling which was offered by the clinic, and they do that free of charge as part of the package, is an egg donor. And that means using someone else's eggs, potentially who's a lot younger than I am as well, who have been through all of this testing before, so they're genetically, should we say genetically normal, if that's the right word, and that meant that the child wouldn't actually be genetically mine, it would be Nick's, because it would be fertilized with Nick's sperm, but I would be the carrier of the child, as that embryo would be transferred back into my uterus to be able to become pregnant and give birth. But actually in DNA wise, we wouldn't be linked.